Okay, so last time we raided Kraid's Lair successfully and took that big boy down, and we wound up getting ourselves a nifty little upgrade in the speed booster, which we immediately put to good use in getting a couple more items. Now y'all will probably remember the pseudo sequence break for the super missiles more than anything else from that vid, but don't forget that a few minutes before that we wound up getting ourselves the high jump boots. And it's those that we are going to put to good use here in getting our next part, which isn't that far away. In fact, it's in the next room over right now. Because this next thing we're going to get is going to make it so that orange bubbly liquid, which is acid and not magma me, won't hurt us anymore. Because Samus's power suit just isn't good enough for what we're going to need for the next part of the game here. Unfortunately, we can't shoot this vegetation out of the way, but that's alright here, because you can just go up and over. Now, if you look up here, you can see some bugs above. That's your cue to shoot at the ceiling, which is not a ceiling, but just a fake little set of blocks that you can take down, and that's how you get on up here. The good news is about this vegetation is that while we can't do anything about it, the bugs love to feast on this stuff. So let them do their thing, and then once they've done their job, take them out with a bomb before they start taking you down. Now, you can get to this room with only Morph Ball bombs, but I wouldn't recommend it because you're going to want the power grip and jump pulse to get on up here, especially if you're a newbie. And heck, even me, I'm not a newbie at this game, but it takes a lot of skill to be able to make it up here with some diagonal bomb jumping. I'm just going to say that right now. But anyway, once these guys take out that last plant, the way is clear to Samus's newest upgrade, and what an upgrade it is. Because this one is an upgraded suit. The Varia Suit turns Samus into her more iconic look there, and it prevents us from taking damage from the orange bubbly liquid here. That's always nice. And I can see an energy tank down there, which means we might as well go get it. Sure enough, Samus can just go right on in and do that. Unfortunately, she's still a little slow in the liquid. It's going to be a while before we have anything to counter that. But the one thing I do like about this game is that every time you get an upgrade, they immediately want you to test it out. Wouldn't always like that in some of the other Metroid games. I'll also note that the bugs no longer harm us anymore, and that is a wonderful thing because we're actually going to need them a little bit later on to take care of some more vegetation for us. Before we're done here, let's clear out the rest of Northeastern Brinstar. There's not too much to do other than pick up a couple of items and clear the way forward, like case in point right here. Make sure to shoot one of those blocks open, and then bring the bugs with you, because the way to the right is blocked off by a Chozo statue. Once these guys are attached to the vegetation here, you have your way to move onward. Now, where are we supposed to go from here, you ask? Well, that's what the Chozo statue's there for. So let's go on and check out where he wants us to go. Of course. Brinstar, Norfair, Brinstar, Norfair, Brinstar, Norfair. I told you we're going to be taking that trip through that one room over and over again. Now, because we did get the one super missile early, we could actually do a little something else to get another item first down there in Norfair, and we'll do that in a little bit. For now, though, it's time to make the trip back. It's not too long. Just treading old ground, though, but at least it's nice to know that now if we miss a jump, and goodness knows I do that enough in these games, we can just flat out jump right out, no big deal. Still not going to visit that Chozo statue, ever. Sorry, big guy. Honestly, this is more the quiet part of the run, because there's going to be nothing ridiculous about Part 3 here. No sequence breaking, no going up and down and all around. It's pretty formulaic. The quietest part of the run, really. This room. Yeah, let's make sure we get on over to Norfair and go right once we get down the elevator, just like we've been doing over and over. We're actually going to be going right back to where we were when we got the high jump boots. Because there was a secret room over on the left of that area. First, though, we need to get there. And to do that, might as well use the speed booster again. But instead of breaking through the floor at first, let's go on up once we get through here. Because there is a room I skipped last time. And that room is a little hot, but now that Samus has a suit for it, we can go right on in. Now, this liquid is bubbling over, and it will still hurt you, because that actually is magma, not acid. Stay out of it. Gonna get a few easy expansions, like that missile there. I will say that most of this is rather easy, tame stuff today. Of course, I already said that, so I told you this was going to be more of a quiet episode, at least at first. It'll pick up near the end. Let's get on going with that speed booster again, and this time we'll break through the floor and make our way on over to the high jump boots. Room. Yeah. But actually first, there's another room to visit here. Because we did get that one super missile early, we can go in here. This is a pretty long room, so if you try to do this without the Varia Suit, you probably wouldn't like the results, even with 5 energy tanks. I always forget where the item is in this room, because there is one here. But you just gotta look for that circle, and then you'll eventually know where to go. Just watch out for the seahorses that pop out of the lava to shoot fire at you. Those things were a pain in the original Metroid, which I recently went through. Can't say I'm a big fan of that one, but, you know, it's interesting to see how this game took that one and made it so much more fun to play to me. There's the missile I was looking for, but we're still not done yet, because we can go through the next room once we stop playing in the fire. And if you bomb this rocky area, you can run after it and make a quick jump to get our second super missile tank. That is a pretty big deal to have this early in the game. It's going to make a couple bosses a little easier than they would be otherwise. Gotta make the long trek back, and then we will be heading off to our next destination as the game wanted us to. I'm so glad you don't have to revisit this room over and over again. Also, don't ask me how I pulled off that jump, because I have no idea either. I thought I was totally going in the magma then. It's kind of funny too, because Norfair in the original Metroid, I will say, is one of the most annoying places in the game, but here it's just, you know, whatever. Probably helps that in this game you get so many cool things like that you wouldn't in that one, like the speed booster. Gotta have a clear path, though, to get this speed booster off, so let's get it going. And then we can tear through the floor and head into lower Norfair. Again, this room coming up just past the high jump boots here would have been way too hard to get through normally. We would have been roasted alive. And that would not be cool, because we want to beat this game without dying. And that's not exactly going to be a very tough thing to do, because a lot of the enemies in this game just don't do that much damage, at least in normal mode. Yeah, this is one of the more calm Metroid games out there. Compare this to Fusion, where bosses were just... they would just tear you apart. Gotta clear ourselves a path here, because sure enough, this is another speed booster run. Although we don't want to store it this time, but we're going to instead jump at the very edge of this ramp here, because there are some speed booster blocks. Just get rid of these bomb blocks first, and get yourself a running start, and be sure to jump at the edge, like so. Nothing to really worry about. You don't have to fight this guy. I thought for a moment this was a room that was locked, but if it would have been locked, it would have had white doors on both sides. Eh, my mistake. I'll be honest, when it comes to this part of the run, I always forget certain things about it, because this is just one part of the game that my brain just does not remember for whatever reason. It's probably because the second and fourth parts of this run are pretty dang memorable in who you fight. Just make sure to keep freezing enemies as you go. I think we're coming close to the map room. Yes, we are. At least I remembered that much. Ah, Ridley. Now, we'll be heading there in a little while, but we got a little business to take care of first, because that Chozo statue's pointing us somewhere else. If you would have waited, you would have seen that enemy there and then known this was a fake floor. So we're just going to continue to go even further down. But not before getting a couple more missile expansions along the way, because there are a decent amount of items to collect in this part. Not as many as we've had in the first two, but still, every little bit counts. This room holds, in fact, a couple that we're going to want to get. Just gotta, again, once you see that circle, that usually means there's something around here. You just gotta shoot the wall or bomb it until you find it. Don't leave yet, though, because you can continue on to the right, and you will get another easy missile pack to grab. We are doing quite well on that so far. Pretty sure in fact, I know we're over halfway there, because 125 would be the halfway point for missiles. It's not like you aren't going to see the counter at the end of the video anyway. Okay, gotta get on back up. It's not too hard to do that either, when you know where you're trying to go. Heck, even when I was playing it, I forgot the route. Ah, now these things are tangleweeds, and they're holding the enemies there. They'll damage us if we run into them. So, don't do that. Just saying. We are coming up on another item, and let's go get it right now instead of saving. No reason to. It's just on down here, once again with that fake floor. Get on past this guy, because you don't have to fight him. And go and grab it. And this is the wave beam. In other words, it shoots through walls. That's a pretty good item. But I will say that it doesn't do as much damage as your missiles, so while it is good for the small fry, enemies like this giant dude here, it's not that good. Just use missiles, trust me. Yeah, in fact, I already get tired of dealing with them normally right then. Still, it has some use, because it gives us a little bit of a spread to our spread shot to our ice beam. In the original Metroid, you'd switch guns, and you'd have to switch from the ice beam to the wave beam, and then back to the ice beam. This game, you don't have to worry too much about that. In fact, we're going to be using the wave beam pretty soon, because we're going to need it for a boss. Let's get on another speed booster going, and here it is. This is a Mago. These are space caterpillars, basically. Weak spot's the underbelly. Good job, you beat that one. But the music's still playing, which means there's another. Unfortunately, the wave beam won't get this one, so you're gonna have to use bombs. I am not playing the best here when it comes to this guy. What you gotta do is, once it comes on over the right, is shoot him. Instead of with your gun, use missiles, because it just sends him back a lot farther. Once he starts charging is when you start dropping him. You're supposed to grab onto the ledge there to take him out, but now we have too much health to worry about that, so just use some bombs, take him down. And instead of running on through this room, pick up the energy tank there, because that is a freebie. Get another speed booster going before you leave the room, or you'll just have to come back anyway, because we want to go even lower in warfare. now we have the wave beam, we are good to go for our next area in the game. Might as well head there right now. You know, that's what I'd want to say, but before we get there, we've got another boss to deal with. Those tangleweeds look like they have been feasting on some of the imagos here. And sure enough, we walked in right as we see one. This thing is not hard in the slightest. I mean, it shoots spores off in 8 directions. You need to use the turtle and shoot the tangleweed vines. When you've shot the 3 vines on one side, just let the turtle unfreeze. Stand in place to get out of the way of the 8 spore shots it shoots. And freeze the turtle on the other side. The real goal here is to just make sure you keep freezing the turtle before it unfreezes. Otherwise, it'll be knocked down in the water and your movement will be slowed down for just a little bit. All it takes is 18 missiles, because it only takes 3 per each vine, and sure enough, that is an easy fight. And now we can head on off to Ridley. I have a feeling we're going to be facing that flying fiend in the very near future. Now, I'd be right, but that very near future isn't going to be in this video, because we're going to take ourselves a little segment break here for a specific reason. And it's to show off something, because if you remember, we did sort of sequence break by getting that one super missile tank early, and that allowed us to get our second one. However, if you didn't do that and you head on over to the left, you're going to find a super missile door, and you're not going to have any super missiles to open it. If you try to go on over to the right, you're going to find yourself a dead end that's meant to be more of an exit from this place. That means the moment you get to Ridley's Lair, you're going to have to leave it. So what the heck are you supposed to do then? Well, that imago we saved from the tangleweeds has decided to burrow underground. Might as well head on after it and see that it's come out of its larval form. Oh boy. Yeah, I think you can guess what's going to happen next. It's another boss fight. Imago's flying form isn't too difficult if you have super missiles, because I think it only takes about 40 to defeat. And for that matter, super missiles do 5 times damage. You gotta run away from the super missile tank, or otherwise that thing's just gonna keep dive bombing you. And by the way, now that the tail's gone, that's it. It also can't hurt you when it flies on through to get the to open up the way to the what should be our first super missile tank, but it's actually our third. With that, we can drop on back into Ridley's place. I thought about quitting again here, but no, I want to get a little further on because I know what's coming up next time. So let's just make our way through just a little bit here. There are a lot of enemies in this place, but thankfully you can avoid most of them in this first room if you find this bomb block. Just go on under, and look at all that trouble we're skipping past. Makes it pretty darn easy. Don't be so fast in this room or you're going to fall through the floor, because the first 4 blocks there, or the middle 4 blocks, excuse me, are fake. That's a callback to something in the original Metroid that you can't really tell. Thank goodness we have a power grip or we would have missed that jump. You also don't want to be too fast here. All these little bubbly enemies are going to hit you. Don't want that to happen either. But once we get to our next save point, I think we are going to call it quits. And that save point is going to be our first door on the left down here. So let's get on over to it. Next time, Samus is going to come face to face with a foe from her past. And it's sure to be a blast. And by blast, I mean we're going to shoot missiles at him until he's gone. Hopefully. I'll see you there. Mm-hmm.